The Garten of Banban is an infamously horrible game. It's walking on thin ice to even say that it's a horror game. All of its attempts at being scary fails, and it just makes me laugh. The game is not even fun. Its main mechanic is the drone. The drone is used to activate buttons. This isn't fleshed out well, however. The drone is tediously slow, and you need to manually teleport it back to your location. Why can't it just automatically do that? I guess they were just too lazy. The game has a merch store on the launch screen, which is just pathetic. If you were caught wearing this nearly $69 Jumbo Joss sweater, you would get vigorously bullied, and I don't even feel bad for you if you do. This game is clearly a cash cow. After you complete the game, they announced that they are making a second game. They didn't even wait to see if the game was popular enough to get a sequel. They just went with it. Then the sequel came out, and it's $7 Canadian. I mean, at least they removed the merch store link, but it doesn't really matter because of the game's cost. The game isn't good, unironically, or made with any passion, so the price tag is not worth it. I only find the game good because it's unintentionally funny. So, the reason I talked about why this game is bad, like everyone has done that before, the reason is that I wanted to make a point about the developers of this game, who are named the Euphoric Brothers. So I just wanted to make a point and say that I think the developers are as goofy as their game, or just bad as their game. Also, finally, please do not attack the Euphoric Brothers. Even though they are pretty goofy, you shouldn't send them any death threats or harassment. The first thing I should do is dip my toes into a very valid topic of discussion. Is the game satire? When you really look into it, it's obvious that it's not. This game was not made as a satirical commentary on why indie horror games are oversaturated. It was made to get as much traction as possible, as quickly as possible. My hypothesis was that the game was calculated. It's not to say that the Euphoric Brothers are smart, but they certainly are not dumb. First of all, the game is free. A popular strategy is to have your game be free, but have something monetary that makes the game money. Recently, this has been proved to be way better than just selling the game, making a bit of money. Fortnite utilizes this by selling skins and other cosmetics as a thing that players can spend as much money as they can on. For the Garten of Banban, this is in the form of merch, and the second game releasing that cost money. Like I said, they sold merch on the first day of launch. That's how they made a lot of their money for the first game. Now, I honestly doubt that this is sustainable since the merch is so low quality, yet so overpriced, it's insane. But it was good in the short run. And then they released the Garten of Banban 2, which cost $7. Seeing how popular the first game was, they knew people would spend money on the sequel even though it's god-awful. And yeah, it worked. This is just my hypothesis. I can't confirm if they are making a great amount of money, but I am 100% sure that in combination with the merch, the game is doing incredible financially. Now let's see how the Garten of Banban even got popular. How could a dumpster fire such as this even get popular? Well, the reasons are very clear to see on closer inspection. You can analyze many strategies that the game uses. I bet you keep hearing that this game is Poppy Playtime clone. And I can't verify this myself because I never played Poppy Playtime. People say this is because the games both have seemingly cute cartoon characters but are supposed to be scary, and also they both have like main mechanics that make it unique from other horror games. So the first way it got popular is the fact that it's so similar to Poppy Playtime that it will attract the Poppy Playtime fanbase, which is pretty popular. Another strategy they used is making the game as quickly as possible. Originally, I thought the game was made as bad as possible so reviewers would talk about it, and thus giving it more traction. But I had changed my interpretation. I think they aren't going out of their way to make it bad. I think they are just intentionally spending as little time as possible to make a sequel to the game. So, they have many people talking about how it sucks, without spending all the time you need to intentionally make a game horrible. This strategy works because of the saying, all publicity is good publicity. They do not care about people hating on their game as long as people keep talking about it. Finally, we have the genre that this was made to be. Indie horror games tend to have a child audience, such as Poppy Playtime, who may lack basic critical thinking, so they don't really care if the game's bad because their favorite YouTuber played it. And then, of course, the YouTubers played it because they just want to make money. That's okay. Which massively contributes to this game's popularity, unfortunately. If the Euphoric Brothers just stopped at this, I would actually respect them for being able to execute these marketing strategies I just mentioned, but no. The next point against the Euphoric Brothers is that they cannot handle criticism for their game. We can observe behaviors like this on the wonderful website called Twitter. Twitter is horrid, but even the Euphoric Brothers have a Twitter account. So, they posted a few pictures that show us that they can't take any criticism. When a new indie horror game with a main menu gets released. First time? This post meme was made by the Euphoric Brothers as a response to the backlash. The meme is a parody of the first time meme. So this meme is genuinely well made, but in this circumstance, it's a terrible way to respond to criticism. What they're basically implying with this meme's caption is that they're pretty much saying that the criticism of the Garten of Banban is stupid because it's all over the title screen. Which, sure, technically it is, but it's also because you put a fucking merch store link in the title screen, which is pathetic as shit. And then we also got the fact that they indirectly say that, oh, well, other games did this, so why attack me? Or at least it implied it. This is a terrible way to respond to criticism because it doesn't even acknowledge the reason you're being criticized, and you're indirectly saying that you shouldn't be made fun of because other games did it. That's as stupid as saying you shouldn't be charged for being a murderer because other people were murderers. They also have blocked multiple people for giving the game genuinely constructive criticism. A great example of this is ML Spence, who analyzed the models. In this case, he was not being disrespectful at all, and just got blocked for giving criticism. This is what happens when you make an indie horror game in 2023. Death threats, extreme harassment, non-stop abuse. This is all for a free game made by two brothers. Pics below are just a sample. This is the true state of indie horror now. The Euphoric Brothers are gaslighters too. I just showed you a tweet which is a great example of this. Basically, in this tweet, it highlights tons of different people harassing the developers. I honestly don't believe a lot of these to be legitimate cases of harassment, so I'll just read them all and give my thoughts on it. The first one says, I'm sending a pipe bomb to your house. Personally, I see this as a reference to the pipe bomb in your mailbox meme. But honestly, that doesn't make it okay, since it was made out of pure hatred. We then have a Steam review that wishes that the Euphoric Brothers have a hernia and it ruptures. Again, this is obviously a joke, but it isn't justifiable. We then have, genuinely, fuck you guys. This is the weirdest one. There's literally nothing wrong with saying something like this. I agree, fuck the Euphoric Brothers. I honestly have no idea how this is considered harassment. When I have Rotten Hell, this game's completely unoriginal and a piece of shovelware, making other indie horror game developers look bad because you're a shit show. If this guy didn't add Rotten Hell, which is an unnecessary thing to wish on someone, this would have been fine. The genuine, valid criticisms that he gives does outweigh the Rotten Hell. It's like the Euphoric Brothers only saw the Rotten Hell part and ignored the actual criticisms. We then have one that calls him a fat fuck, and that they put merch on a game that was only made in 5 minutes, and that they should get a real job. All he did was insult you and criticize you, which isn't harassment. While not nice, it doesn't have to be kind criticism. Okay, we have 2 Twitter DMs just calling them slurs. Yeah, not justifiable. And then we have a guy saying that he's gonna kill the developers with their bare fist. I mean, this is obviously a joke. I can't even say it's bad because it's so obvious. Especially with the bare fist part being capitalized. So in conclusion, a lot of these were criticisms, but admittedly a lot of them were just blatant harassment. But I think they didn't get a lot of this. I know that every YouTuber gets harassment simply for existing, and that's a small fraction of the people bashing them. Most people are giving them constructive or harsh criticism, which there is nothing wrong with. What the Euphoric Brothers are doing is highlighting the so what harassment they are getting, so that they don't have to listen or acknowledge the criticisms, and also gaslight people into sympathizing with them. Okay, here's the other tweet. There is a difference between criticizing / making fun of a game and outright scummy behavior. Regardless of what you think of the game, how pitiful is it to fully play it, then refund it, especially if you're streaming it, and making many times the original price during the stream. Since the Euphoric Brothers are mad at people for refunding the game, they are specifically targeting people who refunded it. Most of them are YouTubers except for the Steam one. What this tweet aims to do is target some people for refunding the game, in an attempt to make them feel bad for simply not enjoying the game. They posted it on Twitter, a very sensitive platform, just so everyone would be like, oh my god, these guys are disgusting for refunding the game. Thankfully that plan didn't work because most people were in support of the refunders. The final tweet we'll be looking at is when they announced they were leaving Twitter. It's a 7-part thread, so I'll be reading one part of the thread and giving my thoughts about it, and then moving on. As a lot to know, we've been getting tons of hate since Garten of Banban released, but what a lot don't know is what's happening behind the scenes. The situation has escalated so much that it's now affecting our own and family's safety. First of all, I just doubt it's affecting their family's safety. I wouldn't put it past the internet, but I don't think you were doxxed. So, like, how are you in danger? You think a little bit of harassment is going to endanger you and your family? We have endured a lot mentally, but when it comes to receiving physical threats that reach our personal life and family, that is the end of line for us on Twitter. Obviously, not to mention all sorts of harassment that has been going around since the game released. Again, this is highlighting the extreme stuff. This isn't common, and it does not reach your family. They keep mentioning family, but what family do they even have? No one knows their family. What are they talking about? To address the elephant in the room, what caused all of this is our game becoming too popular and too successful for certain big fingers in the toxic part of the indie horror community. They have continuously weaponized their massive followings against us. The way to say that their game got popular sounds like they're boasting and bragging about it. It's just the way they said it. To me, it sounds like, lol, people are mad because my game is successful and popular. When they say it's too popular and successful to some people, it's kind of implying that you think the people who are criticizing you are jealous, which is not the case. They just don't like your game. And you are basically accusing your criticizers of using their followings and weaponizing it. There's literally no evidence on that, and basically every reasonable person is above that. You failed to mention that the real reason you're getting all this harassment is because your game is awful. And like I said, you're only highlighting the rare cases of harassment. And in fact, you aren't getting that much. It is sad how some of their fans follow their lead blindly with complete disregard to the morality of their actions and how genuinely awful / toxic these people are. We hope the community will wake up and change this soon. It's true that they're just awful and toxic people, but the YouTubers are probably normal, or at least in the public eye. That's their fans, and the creator is not responsible for their fans. We've been surviving all the endless attacks here, but as mentioned earlier, our safety is now in question. If any harm reaches us, we will be referencing everything that has transpired and the people involved when we talk to the authorities. The Euphoric Brothers are saying they're surviving the endless attacks, but what fucking attacks? That you aren't getting physically attacked on a regular basis, and probably not at all, and even the mental attacks are rare. You act like you're constantly getting bombed and home invaded because of this. That is not happening at all. You're going to talk to the authorities? Are you serious? What are they gonna do, arrest them for criticizing your game? Like, if the trolls are smart enough, they have their identity secret, so there's not really gonna be a way to arrest these people. It's worth mentioning that this is all against two brothers in school working non-stop and completely alone on a 100% personal budget. If you backtrack, you'll find that we've harmed to no one and did absolutely nothing wrong. All we did was release a free game. Another manipulation tactic. Oh, we're small developers, so even if we make shit, we don't deserve to get criticized. Think of good games made by indie developers. We got Pizza Tower, Undertale, Deltarune, Omori, Dare Say, the original FNAF. Like, it's a horrible excuse in this day and age where so many good indie games are currently getting developed. This doesn't mean you have to make an incredible one, it just means that you should have made one with passion. And you say that you harmed no one, and that you did nothing wrong, but you did. You've just been assholes, avoiding criticism and deflecting it by gaslighting people. You have not only released a free game, you released a free, passionless, horrible game with a merch store link. And then you made an even more passionless sequel that cost $7 fucking Canadian dollars for a quick buck. We are not closing the account to prevent impersonation. Nothing will change regarding the game. Development of Garten of Banban will continue as normal. We're not giving up on our dream. Honestly, people are still impersonating them, so this doesn't work out, and I'm glad they're still developing the game since I'll be ecstatic to get as much mileage out of this game as possible. So in conclusion for this section, the Euphoric Brothers are gaslighters that can't handle criticism. They deflect criticism by gaslighting people into feeling bad for them, which I just find disgusting. Finally, we have Introvert, a teenager simulator. This game alone deserves its own section of the video, because of how simply awful and disrespectful the game is, and how much it is reflective of who Ferris is as a person. Ferris is the only one who developed this, yet had no involvement besides baby playtesting it. This section of the video delves into topics of school shooting, so if you don't want to watch, just skip to the conclusion. There's chapters that make it easier to do that. I said that, right? This game is a school shooting game. So I'm first going to say that I don't hate Pico School, which seems hypocritical. If you don't hate Pico School, which is also a school shooting game, you shouldn't hate this game. Well, Introvert is more disrespectful than Pico School, and also this was made in 2021. This isn't like some edgy Newgrounds cartoon made back in the 2000s. So in Introvert, you're a mute kid who recently transferred to a new school called The Learning Place. And there's a new student named Chris. Let me just play the video.
Back to our convo, I guess. Forgot to tell you, my name is Chris. I also forgot to tell you, I've moved around a lot. Never got a chance to make any friends. If I don't make any friends in the first 5 days, I will shoot up the school.
Yeah, this is awful. This is not how school shooters act. It should have had more death, but it doesn't treat its subject matter seriously, so it doesn't care. It just has this stupid reason. A school shooter would have more complicated motives, but not in this game. The entire game is just disrespectful to its subject matter. There's literally ear rape in the game. I won't even play it because it's so loud. Go search for a gameplay of this and you'll find it. Here's the About section on Steam. I'll just skip to the horrible part. Features: entertaining but suspenseful gameplay, multiple endings, fully voiced characters, dank and glitched out universe, Gen Z humor. Yes, Gen Z humor. Gen Z humor? Why the hell is there Gen Z humor in a game like this? What this game considers to be Gen Z humor is just ear rape and random shit, which is so disrespectful to the game's subject matter. In the end credits, it was intended to teach the generation about these issues in a fun way. That's why they have this weird humor. But they still should do it respectfully. And with how incompetent these people are, they should leave that job for others. They aren't the right people. Then, if we go to the About Me page, it says, I am Ferris, one of the Euphoric Brothers, addicted to overthinking, lo-fi, and making video games. I decided to merge all these hobbies, into one project. Thus, Introvert, a teenager simulator, was born. I've developed this game completely by myself, except for some audio, songs, and voice acting. Oh, and also, I am 19, a first-year university student. After releasing a lot of failed commercial games, I realized that I don't care about money, and that what I really want is to create my own universe and community. The reason why people find this concerning is the addicted to overthinking part. Could mean something way more sinister. And this guy is in college. Was he thinking about shooting up a school? Intrusive thoughts? He would never act on them. I don't want to accuse anyone and everything, but I wouldn't put him past him. I'm just gonna have a neutral stance on this matter. What's really concerning is that this game was created with genuine passion. It wasn't even a cash grab. Ferris genuinely had passion for this. He didn't have passion for the Garten of Banban. He had passion for a school shooting game, which I find worrying. And this isn't even bringing up the past because they are making a sequel called Introvert Consequences. They definitely stopped because Garten of Banban got successful, but they would have continued. So, in a wrapped up conclusion, the Euphoric Brothers are lazy, greedy, sensitive to criticism, gaslighters, and in the case of Ferris specifically, an overthinker. You can interpret that how'd you like. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Like and subscribe, and have a nice day.